Hey, how you doing, guys? Merry Christmas, by the way. Of course, Christmas me coming up Sunday, which I have off. Great. Of course, a lot of Americans and people around the world have that off, or depending your country. Enjoying my, I was gonna say morning coffee. I guess it's afternoon. No, it's still morning. So good morning. Um, I'm here to talk about for a topic which is talking about operating system updates, service packs, depending on what operating system you're using. Primarily, I'm talking about Windows, Microsoft Windows, or maybe even Apple's Mac OS. Now, recently, I primarily use Mac OS for video production and some other things. And with the recent release of Sierra this late fall, which is macOS 10.12, often a lot of major releases for a major operating system upgrade, they will often do service packs to fix things that may crop up once they do a major release. And so when I upgraded to Sierra, I didn't actually have any problems. Everything was fine. All my plugins and third-party applications were supported before I switched. But then again, I did find some problems with the update, and I'm not even talking just going to Sierra. The update, which is supposed to fix problems, actually ended up giving me problems, but it happens. And give an example. One of the major problems I found was I thought one of my third-party applications wasn't working correctly during the update to Sierra, and I've actually got a screen capture to give you an example. Now, I use iStat menus that often tell me, operating system stats or computer stats, which is often good for troubleshooting and other problems. So, depending on what operating system I'm using, I always try to bring it up and use it. And one of the things I've noticed, especially with the GPU, here with the iStat menus, it does support, I'm using D700s, two of them for video editing and video production and other things. And usually this processor will tell me, well, it actually gives you two different stats, memory or video RAM, and then processor load. And as you can see here on the second D700, I'm showing a little bit of graphic use because I'm using screen capture as well as capturing video and Wirecast. Now, before this wasn't working at all. And I thought, well, maybe that system update broke this third-party application, and they do an update to that. I think it's Banjo or Bango or something like that that releases iStat menus. And that didn't turn out to be the case because I've noticed a lot of my applications that do support using GPU and dual GPUs or multiple GPUs. The CPU would be taking over. So, I shouldn't actually see very little CPU use on applications that majorly use, the GPU. I was showing a lot of processor usage, the CPU, and I'm like, well, this shouldn't happen if, this application is working correctly. What it turns out was a lot of my applications that do support the GPU weren't working. So, or at least that was what I was suspecting that was wrong, and it turns out it was true because I started doing some testing. Final Cut Pro 10, even running a YouTube video wasn't showing any GPU usage. It was just through the CPU. So then I'm like, oh, dang. Then it turns out I've got several Mac Pros here, and they were showing the same thing. Now, my wife, I also set up a Mac Pro for her use for her She self-employed, so she was using it. We were actually trying to get a webcam to work. Plugged that in, it wasn't working, and I suspected it was the same problem. So actually, they came out with a 10.12.2. So once I updated to that, it fixed all the problems. The GPU started working again for third-party applications or even Apple's applications, which is funny because normally you see a service pack will be released to fix the problems for a major upgrade to the next version of the operating system. Of course, it's not just with Apple. It's usually we also see this with Windows. They will, after a major upgrade, they will do a service pack to fix the problems. Now, of course, Microsoft they do things differently now with Windows 10, and supposedly it's just going to be Windows 10, and they're going to do a rolling update where they will, once a certain update is finished, they're just simply going to release it. They're not going to wait yearly release cycle. As far as I know, that's what they've said. And they'd release what is called a service pack. So it's, it sometimes it happens, depending on the issue. And Linux, also, I think they were speculating on doing rolling releases like Microsoft does. At least with Ubuntu, depending on what distribution of Linux. So if you are experiencing these issues, I'll give an example of the GPU or doing webcams or something, then they do have a new release, 10.12.2. But it's not specifically an Apple problem. Of course, it can happen with many operating systems, and I've seen out there in internet land a lot of people say, well, why don't they wait until everything's fixed before they release the next version? And I see this crap up quite a bit, not majorly, but a lot of people bring it up. Well, it's not ready, they should release it. And really that's impossible to really fix all the bugs prior to release, because there might be some issues they won't know about until it's actually tested by its users. Now, they do have beta programs. We see this with Microsoft, Apple, and even Linux, that will have betas you can download and try. Recently, I think it's finally Apple started doing this as well, where they release it to beta testers to fix these problems prior to release. But even then, even in the best circumstances, there will always be bugs undiscovered until it gets released to millions and millions of people, and then they find these issues. It's really hard to within the operating system itself, with third-party vendors and drivers, and the list goes on and on. It's really impossible to fix all the bugs prior to release, and if you wait that long to do this, you'd simply never release any major updates. Or when you actually finally do it, it's the operating system's going to be so far behind technology, because in the technology realm of computers, software, and so forth, it comes out very, very quickly. Technology is a very fast-paced industry. And so I figure it was an interesting topic, not just with the problems I was having with Sierra, but, the different major operating systems. So give me your thoughts. And like I said, have a Merry Christmas.